How's everybody doing, Metal Summoners? As always, we are so happy that you are joining us this evening. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedules. You've been working the first half of the week, so let's say we'll start the weekend right now with everybody. As always, you know we're your island of misfit toys. We've got the Psycho Steve. We've got Angel Alamo. We've got Bobby Dreyer. I will be bringing in our host very, very shortly, but real quickly, we want to say a couple of quick thank yous before I kick it over to Bobby to talk a little bit about where he's at. I want to take a second to thank the Butcher Babies, Stitched Up Heart, and Infected Rain for having me out last night in Harrisburg, PA to cover their show. For a lot of you Metal Summoners that saw that, we went live last night with a couple of the songs from the Butcher Baby set. It was fantastic. They absolutely killed. They sounded terrific. As always, definitely enjoy the show that Heidi and Carla put on. And Lena and the guys did great, and Nixie and the boys did great. Everything was super duper fantastic. But Bobby, you're somewhere fun this weekend.
I am in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I am down here getting ready tomorrow night to cover Firefly in Dover, Delaware. So tomorrow night I will be live. You will see clips down there with hopefully, fingers crossed, I will have the opportunity to be with Miss Billie Eilish, which I'm so freaking psyched about. You know, look, her and Phineas, being a metalhead and everything, but, you know, being a producer, how everything came about and the way they did it, just on the back end of doing an album, Grammy-winning album in their bedroom and parents' house and everything. Look, it's badass. Anybody who's doing music or whatever, look, never give up hope. We can do good shit. Let's just get it out there. A good song is a good song. So that's all it takes. So keep kicking ass. And I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I'm breaking my Firefly Virgin Cherry tomorrow. My first time there. So I'm going to be a 57-year-old, 18-year-old tomorrow night.
That's awesome, brother.
Where's my fucking glow sticks?
Well, bro, you've been raving about the Interpreters cover of Bad Guy for fucking weeks now. So now you're actually going to get to see Billy do it.
So the coolest thing is there's two versions. The Interpreters doing it, but then when you have Melissa McCarthy doing the fucking version, totally kicks your ass across the room.
You're doing virgins?
But the thing is, tomorrow I keep going, you know, do I bring Viagra or ecstasy?
Both.
Yeah, bring both, man.
Yeah, let me know how it works.
Exactly.
And save me some.
I'm like sitting there going, oh, God. I know I'm going to have a lot of trannies hitting on me.
I mean, depending on how your day shapes up, you know, they always said don't take the red pill. So I guess it'll only be about that blue pill, dude.
I'm so going to play Alice tomorrow.
I'm sure you are. Absolutely. So that's going to be super
I'm
duper
be
cool.
going down a lot of rabbit holes.
Oh, yeah. Quite a few, I'm sure. But Metal Summoners, definitely make sure that you're keeping an eye on the site and everything for whenever Bobby goes live about everything that's going on in Firefly. That's going to be
Danger Will Robinson. That's all
and
I'm
if
saying.
you see something that will be for Pornhub, just
send it Angel's way.
Just blame Angel.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, blame me.
If it looks like a rash, tell me. That's all I got to say is, Bobby, don't go in there.
Just bring a clean pair of drawers, Bobby.
Oh, God.
Oh, there goes our guest.
But
hey,
anyway.
Look, he's from the Bay Area. He's used to rashes.
Oh, thanks, man.
No, let's say that let's keep this where it needs to be because he's all about thrashes, dude. So on that note,
rashes are rashes.
Let's bring our guy in for this episode.
Yes.
So we want to thank,
about.
as always, for taking the time out to be with us this evening. Bay Area thrash OG original from Trauma. We've got Kris Gustofson. How are you?
Yeah. I'm doing good, man.
Absolutely, man.
Doing good.
first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening. Are you out west?
Yeah, I'm in California. I'm up in South Lake Tahoe.
Nice.
Yeah, up in the mountains where unfortunately a lot of fires have been.
Oof.
But that's the West Coast for you at this present moment in time.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's been a lot of that forest fire situation that's kind of been like out in that area. I know that it's been, really wreaking havoc on like the Napa Valley area as well, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've been pretty lucky this year as opposed to last year, but this was really weird that it happened up here. I mean, it was kind of expected, but that's just the way things go at this present moment in time.
Absolutely, for sure, 100%. Well, talk to us about what Trauma's up to right now. So, a lot of our guests, we've talked about the unique situation of having last year kind of, deleted or put on pause or really just kind of throwing a wrench into what tour plans or recording plans a lot of bands did have. Now we're almost towards the end of 2021, but what's going on in the Trauma camp right now? What do we have to look forward to?
Well, we have a new album that'll be coming out. Probably first quarter of next year that we're finishing up right now. We have Juan Ortega from Trident that's recorded like, Testament, Machine Head, those kind of bands. A lot more doing it right now. It's coming out really, really good. So we're super, super excited about it. And we have a new singer that's singing on it, Brian Allen from Vicious Rumors.
Nice.
Is on it since the original singer Donnie unfortunately passed away. Mm-hmm. That was a real tragic event, but anyhow, we're looking forward to the record coming out and doing some touring.
Absolutely, 100%. And also when it comes to like the Bay Area thrash stuff, like you had mentioned them. Like I've always been a big fan of Testament, and you've had Greg Christian with you guys now for a little while.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Greg is a great guy. He's a phenomenal bass player, and we're super happy to have him in the camp. And he's looking really forward to getting out there and really playing a lot as well. Especially, we have an opportunity hopefully in April to go over to Europe and tour over there. So we're really looking forward to that. We're everybody. Not just us, but every musician I know is sick of, having to wait it out with the COVID thing.
Sure.
So it'll be nice to have some shows.
Absolutely, 100%. For the shows that you do have like coming up and getting out onto the road as soon as you can, are the fans going to be able to hear like some of these new songs, or are you going to wait more for the album's release?
Yeah, we're probably going to have the record come out. We will do some videos as well. Some probably a couple lyric videos along with some live shots of the band, incorporated as some videos. So there potentially could be some tidbits of some stuff that will come out before the band tours for sure. But the whole plan is to put the record out and then have us tour right away.
Nice.
So that's what our management wants us to do. So hopefully the COVID thing won't delay it. I'm hoping.
Absolutely. And one of the things when it came to the COVID situation, that was a topic that we talked about with a lot of our guests, was how the communication was between the band members when you guys, are used to either being together already touring, getting together to record in the studios, or just getting together because you guys are in a band together. When it came to the COVID situation and people trying to look out for everyone's health, how did you feel the communication was in the band? Did you feel that it strengthened you guys?
It's a good question. Everybody was obviously worried about it for sure. Nobody wanted to catch it. It just kind of put everybody on alert that, if we all get together in the same room and we're all starting to, breathe the same air and sweat and everything, who's been sick recently, everybody just had to be really, really upfront. And if someone wasn't feeling good, it wasn't really a good idea to try to get together. So it was actually, with the COVID thing going on, it was a bitch, to be honest. Yeah, it was really hard because, everybody was kind of scared when it first kind of came out, and it was just like some people didn't really care about it too much. It wasn't like anybody was paranoid or anything, but all in all, we made it work.
Absolutely. No, 100%, man, for sure. Bobby, let's kick it over to you, brother.
So I'm going to go right into the hardcore, and we have a lot of great fans on here who are you from Trauma and everything, but a lot of people really want to know about Cliff. The whole thing, Cliff starting out with you guys. How did that come about?
To be honest with you,
Cliff
that
Burton.
was like,
Sorry about that.
What again?
Cliff Burton. I just wanted to, emphasize right there.
That was a really long time ago. He joined the band, like, I think it was like 1981 or 82, I think. And, to be honest with you, I personally was not in the band at that time. But shortly after he joined Metallica, that's when I got in the band. And he actually came to quite a few gigs that Trauma did back in the day, because we ended up playing. We actually did a gig with Slayer at the Keystone Berkeley. In the Keystone Berkeley and the Stone and the old Waldorf and all that was happening. And he was a great guy. He was really cool, really funny guy, and a couple guys in the band, especially Donnie, was really, really close with him. And when his tragic death happened, it really definitely impacted a lot of people. So
Kris, the other thing too I really want to bring up right now, and you just mentioned it, is Donnie. Can you give look, you've had a great relationship with Donnie, your singer, Donnie Heller. Can you give a little bit of background of your relationship with Donnie?
Oh God, I met Donnie about 1982, I believe. I was playing with this band in San Francisco, and these guys were trying to do some kind of like Motorhead kind of thing. They played super, super loud, and Donnie, just for the heck of it, came to an audition when they were looking for a singer, and that's how we met. And then a couple of days later, he said, "Hey, I'm in this band Trauma, and we're looking for a drummer. Would you want to try out for it?" And I did, and I got the gig, and that's when we really became really close friends.
Was there something about that Donnie drew you to? Is it who were your influences back then? I mean, as a drummer, there had to be something that caught his eye, being in the whole thrash movement and everything during that early period of early British metal and everything that everybody was into. What did Donnie see in you?
Well, I was listening to Maiden, Clive Burr, and like Simon Phillips, Bill Ward from Sabbath, of course, John Bonham, all those great drummers from those, really big bands back then. And I just came in there, I really nailed it. And we all became really close friends.
That's great. We're so looking forward to hearing new stuff coming out. I got to ask, last thing before my closing, with Donnie's passing in 2020, will there be, you have a new singer, but will you be bringing some of the elements of Donnie into the new Trauma album?
I would rather kind of leave that alone right now. It's kind of good. It'll be a little bit of a surprise.
Sure.
What we're doing with that. We actually did do several tracks before he passed away that he sang on that we're going to probably put out at some point because he's singing his ass off. So, There were actually 2 cover songs that we did. I'd rather not say who they are, but you guys will
get just the tip.
Well, one was the Led Zeppelin song for one.
Ooh.
He really treasured Robert Plant as a singer, and oftentimes he could really sound pretty close to him.
Wow.
Yeah, Donnie was an incredible singer. It really, as a good friend of his, it really breaks my heart that what happened, and I always wish that he would have had time for us to be able to go over to Europe and really make a mark. But as things happen, he's up there looking down somewhere.
Of course.
Absolutely.
The great thing is, look, you guys have a great legacy, and we look forward to, longevity and seeing what's going on with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I really, I'm stoked of the interest that you guys have with, about the band. Yeah. We've been slugging it out for a really long time. I mean, obviously we had a super long break. Everybody did, the band broke up in like 1985, I believe. I did a bunch of other stuff along with everybody else. Me and Donnie always talked periodically over the years, but it didn't come into play until 2013 when Mike Varney wanted to do a re-release on the Scratch and Scream record. And he mentioned that it would be a good idea to have a live band, and that's what we did. So, and it took a while to get us to the lineup that we have now. And we have a killer lineup in the band. It's me, Greg Christian, Brian Allen, Joe Frolub on guitar, Steve Rebello on guitar. So it's I think the metal world will really like what we're doing. And it's going to be followed up by a European tour, so it should be pretty good.
Very cool.
Awesome. It sounds so super cool, because that Scratch and Scream album, Kris, is so good. And then after such a long break, then you came out with Rapture and Wrath, in 2015, 14, right in that area, I believe.
Right.
And I mean, it was really cool because it's exactly, you guys really didn't skip a beat. It was exactly like, for anybody who likes Scratch and Scream, like you gave them exactly what they would have wanted, on Rapture and Wrath, but modernizing it as well, where it's still that same just heavy aggression, but but aged well, if that makes any sense. It's not like you were trying to just pull a nostalgia record together. You took your experiences from that break and put them into that new record, and that's what I really liked about the Wrath album.
Well, I'm really glad that you really like that. The thing is when we did that, it was kind of like, okay, what really direction are we going to do? Obviously we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We just have to kind of stay true to what we do. And I think that's what we did on that album, as much as, as possible. And we kind of recorded that thing really old school too.
Oh, nice.
We definitely recorded that record in a way that most people don't do like that anymore. So that's kind of what gave it that vibe too.
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, When I Die from Kingdom Come are probably two of the tracks that I really liked in that album.
Right on. Awesome, man.
I thought that was very, very cool for sure, man. So we, just want to let you know that I definitely, dug what you guys immediately came back out with for sure. So that was definitely super cool. But
hey,
Angel,
Jerry, I want to interject real quick. If anybody wants to hear Scratch and Scream, if you go on to Amazon, the really cool thing about it is with the album coming out in 1984, it's still available on Amazon.com, which is where I buy my copy. You can get your MP3 or your hard copy or your streaming. But what a
hard copies, dude, hard copies.
Yeah, we like anything hard.
Well, we do, but let's also keep in mind that let's let's urge our beloved metal summoners to go shopping on Trauma's site too.
Yes, buy merchandise.
Well, hey, just so you guys know, we're working on something right now where that Scratch and Scream album on vinyl might see the light of day at some point.
Ooh,
Very cool.
Yeah, we're something's kind of in the works at the moment, but I can't really, get into it too much.
hey, Kris, real quick, who shot the album cover of that, of Scratch and Scream?
Man, that came from the picture of that was these two, the girl really far in the background,
Yeah.
with her arms up, and the guy coming out, believe it or not, that was shot at the freaking LA Zoo, where the lions come out to, I guess, when something to do with that, the walkway that they go through to either go to like their pen or come out to where they eat. But the actual photographer, hell, I don't even remember his name, man.
That is just a badass picture. I mean, if you look at it, it's just like wrong, but it's so right.
Well, one thing funny about that record, all those years ago, man, is, I mean, hell, I was like 21, I believe, when that thing came out. Ozzy Osbourne was looking for a drummer at the time because Tommy Aldridge just quit the band, and I got wind of that. And actually, I auditioned for the band, and so I got to play with Jay Healy and Bob Daisley a little bit. And Ozzy was this is at Mate's rehearsal studio in North Hollywood.
Okay.
And Ozzy came with Sharon, his wife, and he started walking around, and he was like, "Hey, mate," he's really cool guy. And I happened to have that album on me. And I remember I handed it to Ozzy, and Ozzy, he looks at it, he's going, "Geez, wow, mate, Scratch and Scream, that is a great title." And it always cracked me up that's, when that happened, something, it's just like an old archaic thing to think about.
But
Cool.
it is that great album cover that you look at, and it's just, look, we all grew up in that era, and I'm just going, and for Ozzy to say that, you had to have.
Yeah, it made me feel like, oh, wow, we really did something good. If Ozzy liked the freaking title, that's pretty cool.
Sharon, Scratch and Scream.
No,
maybe we should call our album "I Can't Cream" or something like that.
Oh, Jesus Christ,
God.
Bobby. but then also, I mean, you guys have really unique, album covers just in general. Because even coming back to like Rapture and Wrath, where you've got like the dude coming out of like the volcano, like just
right,
with the whole kind of like, pretty much exactly what the title says, that kind of like, fighting like against like Armageddon kind of thing is very, very cool. What do you remember about designing that cover?
Well, that came from an artist in Germany that worked on it for quite a while. We switched it around quite a few times until he came up with that. He had to make it it took a bit of work, because at first it didn't have the right kind of look or style that we were kind of after. But the guy that did it ended up doing a really good job on it, for sure. I was really happy with the way that artwork came out. The new artwork that we have coming out for the new album is we have a guy named Johannes, who's an artist that's been around for many, many years and have done tons and tons of album covers for a lot of famous bands. And I'm pretty sure you guys are going to like what it looks like.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. But we might as well like run the gamut a little bit too. And so Angel, hang tight, man, because I'm going to kick it to you and the Summoners. But we might as well also cover As the World Dies as well, where you kind of had this like, destroyed playground look with like almost like a black and white cover that kind of had that old war photography look to it.
Yeah. Well, that was just pretty much it was the end of the world kind of thing. As the world dies, I think there's a little kid with a stuffed animal on the cover. More of an apocalyptic kind of thing to a certain degree.
Yeah.
That artwork was done by Joe Frollo, the guitar player in Trauma, and he did for what it was. He did a really cool job with it, man.
It's very cool. Just definitely has like that whacked, creepy, like, almost trauma looking into the future of the sadness that was coming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. A lot of those tunes were based off of, there's a couple of guys in the band that go diving and things, and they go to these, reefs and stuff, and they're just like, oh man, this isn't like it was, 10 years ago, the last time I was here. So that's kind of the concept of that record in a way.
Oh, right on.
Kind of weird, kind of sad in a way though.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
We all hope things improve.
Definitely. And I think we're getting there, like, slowly but surely. I know the last like month or two with like the variants and stuff like that are kind of throwing little wrenches into everything. But in the big picture, I do see more light than I see darkness, like, personally. So, I'm feeling pretty good about everything. I mean, even just at the intro of the show, when I was talking about the show I was at last night, I mean, it was a big, it was a nice turnout. What
show was it again?
It was the Butcher Babies,
oh, yeah.
Stitched Apart, and Infected Rain, who came over from Europe, and in Harrisburg, PA, at a place called HMAC.
Okay.
And, it was very, very cool. I mean, a full on, everybody respecting everybody, big collection of people with masks, a big collection of people without masks. But, there was a mosh pit at one point, and I was like, well, that's really good to see. I mean, people are letting out some of their aggression. They're having a good time. Everybody was behaving. Everybody that got knocked to the ground got picked up off the ground. So it was very, very cool and stuff like that. So I do feel, feel good about that. I feel like I am seeing more light than I'm seeing darkness.
That's good. That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. Angel, no, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's really cool, man. I'm glad to hear you had a good time and it worked out good.
Definitely, 100%. Angel, let's kick it over to you, my good dude. How are you this evening, and how are the Metal Summoners?
Awesome. Again, Chris, just want to say thank you for your time today. Just being on the show.
Usually covered by her.
Not sure what he's like. What's that? I have a question from David Rosenfeld. He wants to know, do you have any suggestions for drummers out there to improve their double bass speed? Do you have a favorite pedal?
It's a good question. I mean, I've used practically every planet or every pedal on the planet, I should say. And you know what it is, man? It's it's not about getting these really, really expensive, pedals or anything like that. It's just putting the hard work in, and just working at it, and get a metronome and practice to that, and just build up your leg muscles. Go jogging, whatever you got to do, and listen to other drummers of what other people are doing, and start out slow. And try to build up your endurance, and just keep at it.
Cool.
Yep.
And
got to practice.
Awesome. Okay. Now, question from Brian. He wants to know if you could put together two bands in the studio together to record, who would they be?
Would these be bands that the people are still alive or dead?
Alive or dead.
Let's see. If I could put two bands together in a studio to record all together?
Yep.
Wow, that's an interesting question.
He loves asking the questions.
Yeah, Brian does like that kind of stuff.
That's kind of funny because, it depends what kind of music you want to kind of put out. If it's heavy stuff, I would definitely pick let's see, a combination of probably like Motorhead, or maybe a little bit of balance and a little bit of bluesy texture. But then, like, I don't know,
ABBA.
you know, what'd you say, ABBA?
Yeah. Why not? Motorhead and ABBA. Who the fuck would do something like that? I think
Well, that might be kind of cool.
That could be interesting, actually.
Or, you know, Motorhead and Queen.
Oh,
yeah. Be nice. Little sheer heart attack with a little bit of Lemmy in it.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. It'd be interesting, like Motorhead and, you know, maybe like Led Zeppelin.
Nice.
And staying with Brian, he says, not in a negative sense, but is there a drummer that you envy?
The drummer that I envied was my dad.
Oh, right on.
Very cool.
And my dad was a big band drummer. And you guys might not listen to jazz music. Maybe you do. I don't know.
I do. Love jazz.
He worked for like Woody Herman and Dizzy Gillespie. And you know, a lot of people like that, Gerald Wilson big band, and that's how I got introduced to being a drummer as a little kid, you know. And as far as like other guys, you know, Buddy Rich, you know, those kind of people, and then there's a slew
some of the good
then
guys.
there's a slew of, you know, new guys, you know, that the list would just go on and on. I don't want to bore people to death.
Bore us. Come on, we love being bored.
You know, well, you know, one guy you don't hear too much about because he's kind of older now is like Ainsley Dunbar.
Yeah.
You know, Journey. He was a freaking monster drummer. Ginger Baker. Jesus, I'm trying to think here. Cozy Powell.
Oh, big cozy guy.
Tommy Aldridge, of course.
And what about the Appice brothers? You know, Vinny and, you know.
Well, I've met those guys off and on. I met them at the Hall of Heavy Metal History in 2020. Really super, super nice guys. Carmine, actually, he probably wouldn't remember this, but I went to a rehearsal when I lived in LA. It was a place called Studio S, and Blue Murder was in there rehearsing.
Wow.
And the band I was in at the time was this band called St. Elmo's Fire. And we would rehearse there, and I was just hanging out, and I asked Carmine, hey, man, could I just try your drums for a minute? And he goes, yeah, man. You know, and I went up there and, you know, did some crap. And those guys were totally cool, you know, but those Carmine and, you know, Vinny for sure, man, those guys are great, you know. And then, you know, of course, you know, Mike, you know, Portnoy and Gene Hoagland and all those people.
Is there somebody you ever geeked out on that you just went and just like, I'm going to say lost your shit, where you just went, oh, you know, that drum, we all had somebody we met that you just went, oh my
Probably
God.
If I had to say anybody who ever did that to me would have been like, if you're talking about jazz music, Buddy Rich, of course.
Very cool.
If you're talking about more fusion, I would have to say Vinny Cayuta or Billy Cobham.
Yeah. And what about rock guys? Has there been a rock guy that you just said, you know, I can't believe it. You know, look, we all have had that. I'm a guitar player. There's a lot of people. Frampton blows my mind. But even somebody like a Peter Chris, or, you know, who's a jazz guy, or this and that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, I give a lot of credit to Peter Chris. I wasn't a huge fan of his drum solos by any means, but I thought, you know, hey, you guy played with one of the biggest bands on planet Earth.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, I met Eric Singer, God, years ago when he was playing with Gilby Clarke. Really super nice guy. And for those guys to have those kind of gigs, man, I mean, hats off to them. You know, it's not an easy thing to do.
Has there ever been a gig that you would sit there and go, I wish I would love to have that gig?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Ozzy.
Yeah, you know, well, obviously I didn't get that. They ended up hiring, Jesus, man, what the hell's the guy?
The dude from Faith No More.
No, I think that was way later.
Randy Castillo.
Randy Castillo, yeah.
Yeah. But
because Randy went from Ozzy to Motley Crue.
Right. But yeah, there's so many bands, man, that, you know, any of these people that are out doing it in this day and age, man, and they're doing it at a level that they're still, you know, being able to like perform their best, and the band is kicking ass, man. Right on. I give them, you know, hats off to them.
And I'm going to say one little last thing before we throw it back to Jay.
Okay.
We lost a good friend about a year and a half ago, and you probably know him, Frankie Bonelli. Oh
yeah, that was. I knew he was. I didn't really know him, but I knew I heard he was super really sick, and when I heard what he had, you know, the freaking pancreatic cancer. That's a tough one to beat, you know. And, you know, God bless the guy. I mean, I think he even played when he was really super sick, and he didn't show he was sick. You know, that's his heart was into it, man. Yeah. You know, he really wanted to continue on with that band, but that cancer shit, man, you know, just kills it.
Yeah. Well, he and, you know, Eric and Eric Carr. I mean, you know, you think about it. Just look, I give you guys drummers. I don't know what it is that drives you guys, but you guys kick ass 24 because you're the motor behind every band.
Well, you got to be kind of, for me personally, you know, it's a thing where I love playing this type of music, because it's very challenging, and it's always fun to try to come up with new different things that the other guy maybe hasn't done yet, which is not easy to do anymore. You got to stay interested in it somehow. And I remember years ago, my dad always taught me that, you know, you have to have this internal flame. If you're a musician, no matter what instrument you play, you have to have this internal flame where you're always trying to do your best, play your best, but always keep interested in the music. Forget all the other crap. You got to stay interested in the freaking music. And once you lose that, you might as well not do it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, but I kind of learned that, you know, from old school, like teaching, you know, just being taught that. So
we love to commend that you really give the accolades to your dad. That's tremendous. Thank you.
Oh yeah, my buddy. You know, unfortunately died many years ago.
Wow. He taught you well, dude.
Right on.
Absolutely.
All right, Jay.
Yeah, no, totally, Bobby. I'm actually going to steer it back up to Angel because we were kind of rocking his segment there as well. Have we gotten anything new from the fans, Angel, or a question from yourself, my good dude?
I do have a question, but again, just going to take it to the fans for two more fan questions.
Yeah, okay.
Charles wants to know, do you ever hang out with the boys from Amon Amarth?
No.
I'm pretty sure I fucked that name up.
Yeah, it's all good. Amon Amarth.
Okay.
No. I'd like to. You know, hopefully the opportunity will come.
And I'll bring the next question from Kim Sullivan. Any advice for younger musicians regarding making it in the music business in these current times?
Oh, God. Oh. Well, you know, just kind of like what I said before, you know, if you really love what you do, regardless if it's playing music or playing on a baseball team, whatever it is, if you love it enough and you're passionate, you have to have the passion for it. Because trying to do anything in a music business in this day and age is, you know, the vehicles that once were there. And what I mean by that, the record labels.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time where if you had a band and it was a good band and you could draw some people and start making noise and stuff, you could end up with a deal where they would give you, 6 digits or more in money, to get the whole thing rolling. These days, you're lucky if you can get a record company to starting out. You're lucky if you can get the record company to press your product.
Yeah.
I've heard deals where the artist have to pay for that now, which is completely ridiculous, But my advice would just be stay passionate. Just keep writing songs, keep putting songs out, build it up. Use all the social media outlets to try to spend a little money on advertising, and just even when you get kicked in the teeth sometimes, just keep moving it forward as much as you can. Take the bad news or a low blow, try to turn around and make something good out of it. But it's just about keeping consistent, putting new music out all the time. So that's what my advice would be.
And my question to you is, you come from a jazz background, and there's a lot of rock drummers that kind of have the jazz influence. What is it about jazz that helps you as a drummer with timing?
Let's see. That's a good question. I think it's because if you get into the type of jazz music, man, like if be it a big band or a smaller band, but you're playing like old bebop music, which what I'm saying when I say that, like Charlie Parker, Coltrane, Miles Davis, the Thelonious Monk, Dizzy Gillespie. You had drummers that played that stuff, like Max Roach, Art Blakey, those kind of players that, especially if they're playing in two, it's almost, if you listen to that stuff, especially like the stuff Max Roach did, you almost can hear like how blast beats and stuff were developed with metal, believe it or not. It's like, because it's so freaking fast, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 2 2 2 2 2. Those bebop guys, man, really played some fast stuff, So if you can master that a certain way, then everything else kind of like is kind of somewhat a little easier, believe it or not. That's my approach, anyways, to it.
Awesome, thank you.
Very, very cool for sure. Yeah. The next segment that I kind of wanted to take this in for you, Kris, is just kind of a throwback to the general just thrash scene back in the early 80s. You would always hear this talk of like whether it was conflict or competition or curiosity between like the glam metal guys out of LA versus like the Bay Area thrash, like Motorhead type guys, motor guys of like the Bay Area thrash scene. When you look back at that early 80s and the building of the San Francisco thrash scene, like what do you remember about that time?
Oh my God, man. It was like it was really cool because you could go out 7 nights a week in the Bay Area and you could go see like, Metallica, or you could go see Slayer, or you could go see Testament, or you could go see Exodus, or other bands that were, coming into town from overseas. I mean, there was things going on every night of the week, and at that time, there wasn't a lot of bands really coming. There were bands coming up from LA, but it wasn't the thrash metal, It seemed like in those days it was like the Bay Area was a hub for that. And when I moved down to LA in the mid 80s, it was like the Sunset Strip and all that. It was just like it was like Halloween, compared to where what was happening in San Francisco, and that's why I think the San Francisco Bay Area got the notoriety for the thrash metal scene coming out of the Bay Area, because that's where it was.
Sure.
But it was a great freaking time. That's for sure.
Nice. So I gotta ask your opinion of this, just to have a little bit of fun. If this was maybe something you witnessed or you agreed with or weren't really totally sure, but you mentioned Exodus.
Uh-huh.
I saw a really funny interview question one time years ago with Gary Holt, and he had said he was talking about the whole like thrash versus glam scene, and he's like, well, we always looked at the glam guys as like sissy Nancy boys, but secretly we went to their shows all the time because that's where all the chicks were. Was that is that true? Were you going to Poison shows back then, Kris, to meet girls?
I wouldn't say to meet girls. That's not why. That's not why I got into music.
No, for sure.
I'm not the right guy to ask that question to. But
no worries.
But to be honest with you, I would say that, it was definitely a different time, and the chicks looked like hookers, and, But the funny thing was, man, I can remember walking into like Gazzari's or the Whiskey or the Rainbow or any place like that, and if people were standing in front of you, with the long hair and all that, you couldn't tell between the dudes and the chicks.
For sure.
Because they were all wearing, the guys were wearing the chicks' clothes.
Yeah.
And I mean, we tried that. Like I mentioned, I was in that band St. Elmo's Fire, and we kind of got into that mode for a little while. And at that time, my girlfriend at the time, which became my wife, totally hated it, because I'm kind of a big guy, and putting on, spandex and stuff really I didn't look great in it. Put it that way. I personally,
Schneider?
I didn't fit too good in that.
Right.
But, it's funny when you see old pictures of even that band Pantera.
Sure.
And Vinnie Paul's like wearing spandex because he was into that scene at one time. I think everybody tried it because that's, if you were in a band back then and you could get signed to like Capitol or something like that, you might get several $100,000.
Yeah, when they had Terry Glaze as their singer and Dimebag Darrell was Diamond Darrell at the time. Stuff. So I definitely get it. And it's funny, Kris, because you actually reminded me of actually one of my favorite scenes from the Rock of Ages movie they did a couple years ago, where like the owner of the club starts yelling at his bartender. He's like, dude, I've told you 1,000,000 times, like, chicks drink for free, dudes pay full fee. And these guys, the people at the bar turn around and the bartender's like, they are dudes. He's like, look, man, I haven't charged a girl since 74. Like,
yeah, man.
So I totally get it for sure. But hey, let's bring in the fourth lost toy from our island of misfit toys. We have been
the Jews here. Yay!
We have been joined by Psycho Steve. And Psycho, just a quick recap, buddy. We've touched base a little bit on the upcoming Trauma album. We talked briefly about, Kris's relationship with Cliff, which is actually a little touch before his time in Trauma. And we talked also a little bit about his relationship with Donnie, their late singer, and the relationship that they had built over the years and stuff like that. So there's just a brief recap of some of our topics over the last 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
You, man.
So the question I have, because I did listen to most of the conversation about the West Coast scene and the San Francisco thrash scene, everything, and people say Metallica and Testament,
right.
And I like to poke the bear, so I'm just going to ask you.
I poke the rabbit.
Poke the bear?
Yes, I just like to,
He likes to stir the pot.
Yes. Yeah. So the question is, because everybody thinks, not everybody, I'm not going to generalize, but a lot of people think Lars Ulrich is a great drummer. What is your thoughts about this?
Well, I look at it this way, I saw Metallica before, they were hustling just like everybody else was at one particular moment in time. And I saw them play at the old Waldorf, man. I must have been, Jesus Christ, this must have been like 81 maybe. I don't even remember. But the thing that I remember from them playing, man, I was just like, they went from one song right into the next, one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I know this is not, the answer to your question, and I'll get to that in a second. But I was totally blown away with that, But I look at it this way: for what that band has accomplished over their run, and they're still going strong. I mean, I just saw a couple videos on YouTube of them playing at the Independent in San Francisco a few nights ago, and they sounded freaking phenomenal, And a lot of people, I read stuff. Sometimes people bag on Lars. Oh, he sucks, or this, that, and the other thing. But hey, at the end of the day, the dude's playing with the biggest, right in this day and age, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, metal bands in the world, and they're still growing strong. Yeah. I have nothing negative to say about him whatsoever. I think he's actually a really good drummer. I really do. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you grew up in the San Francisco area?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So as far as in memories, besides seeing Metallica, I'm sure you saw Slayer.
Yep.
And then Testament and everything. Mm-hmm. Basically, the big four.
Yeah.
And then I know Anthrax was from New York.
Right.
But and then they came over to California quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you had Megadeth because Dave left Metallica, everything. Right. So besides, of course, your band, were you ever asked to be in any of those bands?
As a drummer?
Yeah, or do you play an instrument besides drums as well?
No, I don't play any other. I'm starting to kind of screw around with a piano right now a little bit, but no. Everybody in those days, I mean, I was in Trauma, and you got to remember something. When all those bands were hitting it hard in the Bay Area thrash scene, it wasn't like LA, It wasn't like LA because LA was about LA was like trying to look like rock stars right out of the gate, and it was about that whole glam kind of thing. But you could get it, like I said, you could get a deal for money. A lot of people did it for that reason. The thrash guys, though, really didn't do it for that reason, and they were more into playing the music, but everybody was looking for like a direction to travel in. It was so kind of new at that time. Like I said, it's like, Slayer, who knew they were going to get as big as they were? Same thing with Metallica. I mean, those guys got freaking huge, so everybody kind of stayed in their own camp. We all knew each other to a certain degree, but there was never really, oh, this guy's playing with this guy now, or that guy's playing with this guy now. It wasn't like interchangeable like that. Everybody kind of stuck to their guns for quite a bit of time. So to answer your question, no, I was never asked.
Gotcha. Cool.
Nice, man. Very cool. Bobby, let's kick it up to you, brother.
So Kris, I got to ask you this, and it's only because I got this, and I don't have my guitars here. So Kris, who is your favorite chicks with sticks?
Who's my favorite? What?
Chicks with sticks.
Who's my favorite chicks with sticks?
Yeah, of course. There's got to be a female drummer out there. I didn't say the other word, Jay. No.
Well, we knew that because you didn't have your guitars, you were going to find some way to put a stick pick up on this show.
Of course.
The first one that comes to mind is Cindy Blackman. That's the first one that comes to mind. She's a freaking powerhouse drummer. And then Sheila E. is another one.
Yeah.
believe it or not, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but who was a really good female drummer, excuse me, too, was the chick that plays for the Go-Go's was really good. Gina, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gina Shock.
Yeah, Gina Shock. Yeah, she's a really good one. I know there's more out there, but honest to God, I don't really. It's not like the metal. You know, the metal bands have a lot of female drummers in them. You know what I mean?
For what it's worth, Chris, we had a 2-piece metal band on the show about a month or so ago called Crash Karma that have a female drummer. And Nikki,
hey, Chris,
very excellent.
I bet.
Chris,
Cool.
you missed one iconic drummer from our era, which would happen to be Karen Carpenter.
Oh, of course.
You know, come on, close
Well,
to you.
I was kind of very much a little kid then, but I remember seeing him on TV, and I was always kind of like, "Oh my God, you know, she's actually really good." You know,
You look at it, and yeah, Karen was probably one of the first female drummers that
oh
just
yeah,
kicked
absolutely,
ass.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, she was freaking phenomenal with jazz. You know, yeah. And all those tunes the Carpenters wrote, Jesus Christ, you know.
It's like, oh my God, you know, but that's what I said. And it's a shame because I really think, look, I don't even, Jay, you probably know who it is. The drummer for the Iron Maidens.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, they're a good band.
So good.
Yeah.
Red Lightning's sister,
Yeah.
right? Or is she in the Judas Priestess?
No, she's in Judas Priestess.
Right. Sorry.
Yeah. There was another one I was just thinking about.
Roxy Pertucci?
No, I think it's like you know, you've heard of the guy James Kotak?
Yeah.
Oh, his ex-wife, Athena. Athena
Lee.
Vance, Tommy Lee's sister.
Exactly. You know, he's really good too. I mean, I know there's a ton of them out there.
Chris, so can you give us a couple really good stories about the from Ruthie Sin up in Berkeley?
Say again?
Ruthie's? Because
Oh God, man! It was a hole in the wall. You know, place. Everybody and their mother wanted to try to play there for some reason or another. I don't know why, but you know, the stage was like, you know, you were so smashed on the stage. But it was a fun gig to play. You know,
but it was iconic. You had everybody from you guys to Megadeth to Death, Slayer, Exodus, Dark Angel Death Angel played there, Suicidal. I mean, DRI. So you know,
yeah, like I said, everybody wanted to play in that place. Like I said, I don't know why, but it got pretty famous.
I mean, what was it about it? Was look, we've got our places here on the East Coast that had it. They can tell you in the Maryland area, you know, it's we've had Lamar's in Brooklyn. We had shitholes in Philadelphia. We've had everything. And people just want to go to these places and go, oh my God, I played here.
Yeah, there's something about seeing a band in a really small, you know, intimate room that, you know, it's like, wow, you get so close to the band. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just blows you away.
Now, is Ruthie still there?
No. Geez, I gotta move. It's getting dark up here in the mountains.
Where are you?
I'm in South Lake Tahoe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's you know, there's a lot of little clubs like that. I remember there's a huge punk scene in San Francisco, and everybody wanted to play at Mabuhay Gardens. Yeah. You know, that was another one, you know. the freaking I-beam, you know. I mean, there was so many weird little hole in the wall places, you know, but it was pretty fun. Pretty fun times.
You know, but they're the gigs you always remember.
Right.
You know, it's not the big venues, it's the little ones that you sat there and go, that was our best fucking show. That was,
right.
You know, and it was the fans that come out and go, dude, I remember you. And we get it here, you know, people go, look, I remember seeing fucking Cinderella at the Galaxy in Jersey, and going, oh my God, that would, you know, and then I told Kiefer about that. I'm going, dude, the night you broke out and you fucking wrote this song there, and it just kicked your ass across the room.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby, I was just in a music video shot at Dobbs last week, and I'm like, dude, I'm in Dobbs in Philly, like the legendary Dobbs. This is so cool. So, like,
now here's a fun thing, and Chris will love this. So if you look at the In and Out of Love video on top of the bathroom with Bon Jovi, if you look to the right, you'll see a guy with hair down to his fucking elbows, no tattoos. It's Bobo. Right near the sausage stand. I'm just saying.
Right on. That's
Well,
cool.
how iconic is that? Sausage, Bob, and Bon Jovi.
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a precursor.
Very fitting.
It was destiny. No.
Oh, that's funny.
But that's what I'm saying. These are the places that you guys, Ruthies. I mean, it's not there anymore. To say that you played there.
No, I mean, in the Bay Area, there was like, you had Ruthie's Inn, you had the old Waldorf, you had the Stone, the Keystone Berkeley, the Keystone Palo Alto, and then it became the then they opened up a place called the Omni, and then right around 2000, 1999 or 2000, one of the last great places to play there was the it was the Memorial Hall, I think. Yeah, Memorial Hall on First and Harrison. I was in a band. I wasn't in Trauma then, but I was in another band, and we played with Dio there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
And
then
one of the things that you sit there and you just go, I played in this fucking shithole with Dio.
well, that was it was called the Maritime Hall, actually. It wasn't really that much of a shithole. It was a pretty good sized place. But the freaky thing with that gig, I remember I was up there playing, and I looked to the right of me, and Ronnie is sitting over there totally watching us. You know, it's like, oh my God, you know, but he was a cool guy.
Chris, was that also one of your earliest experiences with Vinny Appice, if not the earliest?
Actually, when Dio played that gig, it was Simon Wright that was on drums.
Oh, Simon was in the band at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, right on.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And they still had Jimmy Bain on bass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it sounded freaking killer, man. Matter of fact, they played that gig because they were getting ready to go to Russia for like 2 weeks. So it was like a warm-up gig to you know, before they went over there. So.
Oh, nice.
It was really cool.
That's very cool, man, for sure. Absolutely. Angel, let's kick it back up to you, buddy, and the Summoners.
Well, you got a couple of good questions. I'm going to get to Brian. He wants to know if you could go back in time and see a band before they made it, who would it be?
If I go back in time
And see a band before they made it.
Yeah. Jesus, man, that's a hard one to answer because there's so many freaking bands that I like.
Come on, Brian, ease up. You're asking hard questions.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe for some reason the name Iron Maiden is kind of sounding good at the moment.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that would have been really cool.
I got a question from Charles. Chris, what do you think of the Young Trashers' alien weaponry out of New Zealand?
Oh, I think they're really good. Yeah. I don't really listen to a whole lot of their music, but I have heard of them, and I think I have heard a couple tracks. You know.
Okay, got a question from Paige. What's your favorite show you've ever played, and what's your favorite concert that you've ever been to?
What's your favorite show you've ever played? What's your favorite concert? Okay, let's see. Favorite show I ever played. I played a gig. Oh, okay. I'd have to say the first time Trauma went and played in Germany in 2014 at the Headbangers Open Air Festival. That gig was unbelievable.
Oh, cool. Is that the Bang Your Head Festival?
No, it was Headbangers Open Air Festival.
Oh, Headbangers Open Air. Gotcha.
Yeah, Headbangers
There's
Open
so
Air.
many metal festivals in Germany. They have Wacken, they have that.
But the funny thing with that show was that right when we were about to play, we played the band Tigers from Pan Tang played before us.
Yeah.
And then we were on right after them. And all of a sudden, man, it like started raining so bad.
Oh.
And in this place, it's like this giant open field, right? And where the stage is, they put one of those really cheap, crappy metal roofs on the building. So it sounded like a machine gun was going off when you're trying to play.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was freaking nuts. But the crowd really liked the band. And then, what was the second part of it? The best concert.
Yep.
Well, recently the best concert was pre-COVID in 2020 in April. I saw Kiss at the Oakland Coliseum. You know,
Nice.
and I went there with my son, and he never saw Kiss, and was literally floored.
You're such a good dad. We love that.
Well, it was really funny because we had really good seats, and if you guys have been to a Kiss concert,
Oh, have we
that
been?
big gigantic,
Yep.
you got
I mean,
the big gigantic curtain that's kind of black, and then they got the Kiss logo, the Kiss on the front. My son looks at me and goes, what did he say to me? He says, have you ever seen these guys before? And I go, yeah. He goes, where? I go, at the Cow Palace when I was about 14. It was pretty much the last time I seen them. And he goes, what did you think? And I go, just wait, you're gonna be shocked. And they kicked ass. I mean,
You just gave your son a hooker. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Taking your kid to a Kiss concert's like giving him his first oral. It's like,
Well, another, I got to go back in time though, because one thing that really bummed me out is when I heard, maybe you may or may not know this guy, but Frank Marino.
yeah.
Mahogany Rush.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've seen him several times, man, and I was really bummed out when I heard he's really sick.
Yeah.
Those guys.
It's a shame to see our heroes, people we
Kick
grew up
ass.
with, passing by.
Yeah.
So, sucks getting old.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's so many great bands in this day and age too, man. And I mean, you
So,
were
Chris,
mentioning.
everybody's asking you all the nice questions. I'm going to give you the hard one. Who is the most fucked up band you were with that you went, oh, what the fuck? Who put this tour together?
Oh my God. Probably when I was in that band in LA, that St. Elmo's Fire band. I remember we were on the road, and we were just finishing the tour, and I had just literally had enough. And I remember I told the freaking the driver, just drive me to the Dallas airport. You guys could have my drums. I just need to go home. Yeah, I have had that experience. Yes.
So who were was there a band that you were double billed with and you were like going, did they put you on with like a polka band or something that you just went?
No, I never had anything crazy like that happen. Probably the craziest gig though one of the craziest gigs that I ever did. I was in a band in the late 90s with Frank Hannon from Tesla. And it was called Moondog, Maine. And we played at that Maritime Hall, and the promoter of that venue had us open for George Carlin and P-Funk.
Huh.
That was a trip. Yeah.
George Carlin and P-Funk and you guys.
Yeah. There was like in his band back then, man, there was a lot of junkies. These dudes flying in from New York, and just like it was chaos.
First I went George Carlin. I'm thinking you meant George Clinton. Because I'm thinking George Carlin. I'm like sitting there going,
George Clinton.
Really I'm like thinking, that's a fucked up gig.
No, I meant Clinton. I'm sorry, man.
Monica Lewinsky doesn't even forget Clinton.
Yeah, I didn't mean George Carlin. I like George Carlin, actually.
But I'm like sitting there at first going, wow, that's a really fucked up gig.
Sorry about that.
That might be the most amazing show ever, though.
That's the one you want to be at. That would be better than being at Ruthie's. You'll be like well, maybe you did a roofie before you went there.
Oh, seriously, dude. I'd be sitting back in my chair on the lawn or wherever the hell that I would be, just like watching, listening to George Carlin cracking jokes while unicorns were walking across the stage or something
and Bootsy playing bass going, yeah, baby.
Yeah, exactly. With the dude, with the dude that wears the diaper,
oh God.
I was it's like that kind of a show to just kind of make you wonder, you watch George Clinton and P-Funk with the Grateful Dead and Boris Day and the Time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
it would just be the most amazingly shroom-infused rainbow.
Hey, Chris, I got to tell you. So I'm looking at the gig tomorrow. I'm doing this event down here in Delaware. It's called Firefly. I don't know who the fuck the promoter is.
Yeah.
But it is the worst. I'm just looking at this. It's like an eclectic acid trip of bands that are on this thing. And I'm just going, maybe I'm too fucking old, but I'm just sitting there going, what? And I don't even know who half these fucking artists are, but it's I probably got to sit through 50 hours of bullshit to hear something I want to hear, but I don't know how these bands put these things together. With you guys going back out on the road, how do you deal with that? Saying you're an older band and they put you out with a newer metal band, and it's wait a second, people don't get who does the bookings now?
Oh, well, God, there's tons of them for one. There's many agents out there that put these things together. They don't really, I think obviously Trauma would not fit playing with a death metal band, even though we had done gigs in the past playing with bands that were kind of like that, but there was never any kind of conflict because, the bottom line is we do what we do and they do what they do. And, as far as us being older and playing with kids, I think I don't know. I've never really felt that it's kind of an odd thing to do. And when I feel that it is probably the time when I'm not going to do it anymore. But, I think for the most part, everything's been kind of working, and, you can't let things like that bother you,
Does it make you feel young when you're out there? When look, I know being with younger guys like Steve. Sorry. Being around younger, I don't feel my age, and I don't act my age. But do you feel being around a younger crowd keeps that fragility in you?
Well, yeah, I mean, you always want new. I mean, it's really interesting you're saying this because it's like even when I went to see Kiss with my son back in, April of 2020, I mean, I'm looking at the people coming into the Coliseum, and Christ, man, there's families with their little kids coming in to see them. I mean, it's like these older bands continually keep getting younger people, the younger crowds of people keep getting introduced to these bands that have been around for a long period of time, and they realize like, oh my God, these guys actually, yeah, they're older, but look at this kind of show that they're putting on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's like even with the Rolling Stones or something, I think if you could still do it like in a way that you're not lacking as the musicianship goes in the band. And what? Why not keep it going?
Very cool. That's great. And we all love that. We never want to lose our heroes. Look, I love seeing Aerosmith going out and everything.
Yeah.
And we've all done M3 and everything else. And we love it. It just sucks getting older, but it's great seeing the younger bands. And I want to ask last question. Bands like Greta Van Fleet and that who are carrying the torch of the Zeppelin, and Mudhoney, and those guys.
Yeah. I just personally speaking, I just wish I think a lot of those bands are actually doing really well. I think they're making money at it. I just wish that the how should I say this? The record labels of the past weren't as greedy as they were, where some of them were still in place where they actually, supported bands to be on tour and all that stuff. It was a different world then, of course, but I wish any younger band or musician, man, the best of luck of what they're doing. And if they're out touring and playing and they're drawing people, there you go. It's freaking killer.
Absolutely, man, for sure, definitely. So, Angel, I'm going to steer it back up to you, my friend, because, again, we were kind of in your segment when we were touching on some other topics, but also fans at the same time. It's also going to be last call for alcohol when it does come to your guys' fan questions for Kris. So get the comments, anything that you want to ask Kris, any comments you want to make about the episode, we're happy to have them, guys. We will steer back around one more time to make sure we get them all, but it is last call for alcohol, everybody. Final questions to Kris. Angel, take it away, my good dude.
My question is, do you do any warm-ups before gigs?
Yeah. I mean, I try to warm up my hands and, my legs by just stretching a lot. But yeah, of course, definitely. Otherwise, you get cramped up and stuff like that. So I do try to, get a little loose before playing for sure.
I got a question from Candy. Besides singing Elmo's Fire, what other bands did you play with during Trauma's hiatus?
Oh God. Well, I actually was, I did a lot of studio work in LA when I lived down there. I played on quite a few different albums. As far as bands go, let me think. I was with a band where, nothing that really got really known, even though we put product out. But I ended up in this one band in LA. The guys were working with, he was working with Brad Gillis from Night Ranger, good friend of mine, John from England. And I got in his band down in LA. And lo and behold, when we had that band together, the girl he was dating at the time, I don't know if you guys know this guy's name. His name was Richard Grieco. He was an actor.
The actor.
The actor. He had this. He was dating his sister, and he wanted to like try to sing, you know. And anyways, we I did this band with him. We did this band with him, and we did a gig that we played at the Whiskey, believe it or not. And I remember at the end of the gig, I literally hid this, like, oh my God, I can't even believe I did this freaking gig, man, tonight. And we ended up getting a record deal for quite a sizable amount of money, which was really funny. But so that was one band, and then I kind of quit after that. And then I went over to Switzerland, and I played with a couple members from Crocus for a while.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
With who? Crocus?
Crocus.
It wasn't the band Crocus. It was two guys from Crocus, because Crocus was on a hiatus back then, and we had a singer that came in from England that was related to Malcolm and Angus Young.
Oh,
yeah, he was in some band called Little Bighorn back then. This guy named Ivan, really, really good singer. We did a bunch of gigs in Switzerland and a couple of open airs and stuff like that. And then after that, I was in a band with Frank Hannon from Tesla called Moondog Maine. Mm-hmm. That was another one. Then I was in a band called Mechanism. I mean, so many freaking bands, it's ridiculous, you know. And then, you know, I don't know. It's kind of been definitely a journey, I should say.
I just think it's funny with Richard Grieco. So you had 21 Jump Street. And I'm just
seriously. Yeah. The one question I got to ask you real quick, Kris, when it came to St. Elmo's Fire, is that the St. Elmo's Fire that started off as Wheatfield in the 70s?
No.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha. Because I knew there was like an old band from the 70s that was more into like folk and stuff like that I think might have played around with the name St. Elmo's Fire. So I was kind of curious. I was like, wow, did he leave like Trauma and then play with like what started as like a folk band turned glam? Wow, that would have been wacky.
No.
All I keep hearing is that damn song in my head every time I
keep that's the thing. You know, the band was together before that movie came out. You know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, and
who the hell was the guy who sang that theme song? Steve, you probably know that.
No.
Yeah, I'd rather not think about that, to tell you.
Me neither. No.
Yeah, that's kind of horrible. But I actually did do a lot of jazz music too.
I got a fireball just in case they bring up that song again.
Well, just because I love being that guy. By the way, his name was John Parr.
I thought so. I'm like,
thanks a lot.
Hey, I got
it's like a fucking earworm now. I can't get it out of my head.
I got a question for you guys. Has any of you guys ever been on the 70,000 tons of metal cruise?
Dude, my friend Lisa is addicted to that. That is her vacation every year. I have not been able to get onto it yet. I just haven't been able to set up the time for it. But she swears by it and loves it.
Yeah, we played on it in 2017.
Oh, cool.
You know, with Anthrax and those types of bands. It was a freaking blast. If you have an opportunity to go on that, definitely do it.
Nice.
You know?
I think it got bumped till I think it's getting bumped from what it sounds like to 2023 for the next one. Because I was talking to her actually like the other day, and she was saying like, yeah, no 70K boat trip for me this year. I didn't really look into it yet, but she goes like every year, so maybe they're not, because it's usually in January. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of took it at face value.
I just went on. It's the website's up, so it's 70,000tons.com.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They got some really great bands.
Soon, it says.
What does it say anything right now, Bobby, for dates?
No, but it says you can get a room with Steve if you want. No, sorry.
Okay.
So it's definitely possible.
Yeah,
We might have gotten phones, but I have heard killer things about that for sure. I definitely have heard great things about that cruise. But Psycho Steve, let's kick it back down to you, buddy, for our final roundabout.
Okay. Not to drudge up the past and everything. I know that we just lost Cliff Burton's father.
Yeah.
About this past year, but since his demise and everything, did you ever keep in touch with the Burton family at all to let them know what the band was doing?
No, the only time when we really had to get involved with them was when we did the re-release in 2013. And, Ray Burton, Cliff's dad, was really, really cool about us using 3 bonus tracks that Cliff played on to put on that album, and that was pretty much the last time that we had any kind of, interaction with him.
Cool. Because I know he was very heavily involved, like anything with the Burton estate, he handled it. Because I talked to Johnny from Megaforce, and, he has a lot of stuff like masters and demos, and I talked to Matt Pinfield about it, and Eddie Trunk, because Eddie Trunk was actually was the first person to play Metallica on terrestrial radio.
Right.
So thought to ask you, like, as far as, and I knew like Mr. Burton was very hands-on with his son's legacy and his estate and doing things. So I wasn't sure if they gave you permission or you had to go through lawyers or what. So
no, at the time we didn't. He was totally cool.
Awesome.
Really, really cool guy. Basically he just wanted the best for everybody, including obviously Metallica, because I'm sure if they had any tapes laying around, he probably had a good majority of stuff from that band for sure. Be interesting to find out one day what he did have. Yeah.
You definitely do hear about that kind of stuff. You hear about these giant vaults that guys like Prince have of like 6 million band songs and stuff like that.
Wow, yeah.
But then you also hear about things like with Pantera, where there's like no unreleased songs from what I hear. I mean, Steve, you were very close to that camp. You can clarify if there's anything that I'm misspeaking on, but I feel that I did read recently in a Vinny interview before he passed that he's like, there's no unreleased like
interesting
Pantera songs. Like they had like one like unreleased song that they did release like a while ago, I think on like a remaster or something like that, or just a song that they cut from an album before they put it out originally, but then released it like later or something. I had heard something like even a band like, Metallica, Pantera, there's no hidden tracks because, we would all love to hear, more guitar licks from somebody like, Dime, but it's really crazy when you think back on somebody like Cliff, who worked with Trauma right at the beginning, and then we only got a few Metallica albums out of him before the tragedy struck. So, who knows if some of that stuff will surface, because they talk a lot about the riffs that James Hetfield always does and how amazing he is with putting riffs together for albums. But I've heard so many references to Cliff Burton as like the Jimi Hendrix of bass that I'm with you, Kris. It's going to be very interesting if something like the Burton tapes or something ever.
Right. That would be really cool, man. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day we'll hear something that is going to come out from something that's just been lost for a long period of time. You know, I mean, stuff like that happens all the time.
For sure, definitely. Bobby, final one for you.
Yeah. So getting back to the whole jazz thrashy and drummer. So we just lost probably one of the best drummers over our decade, and that would have to be Mr. Charlie. So,
Right.
how did that impact you? I mean, being a drummer there.
Actually, when I heard about it, man, it almost made me kind of cry, to tell you the truth.
You know, Charlie Watts.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah, it really, like, you know, definitely brought a tear to my eye when I heard that, because not only was he like such the backbone of the Stones, man, but the dude, you know, he was actually a really good jazz drummer.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, for him to be 80 and still like be doing it, it's like, my God, you got to look up to somebody that can still do that. I mean, you know, yeah, it was just a real bummer, but you know, at least he made it to 80, you know, so.
And I got to ask, what's your feelings? I mean, Keith used Steve Jordan, and they have Steve coming in now, and they brought him in. Steve Jordan,
Right.
You know, he did the expensive winos and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big difference between he and Charlie, where Charlie always played behind the beat, and Steve plays on top of the beat. So how do you think that's going to affect, you know?
It's really, yeah, it's really interesting that you're saying this, because for some reason or another, I found a video of them playing with Steve Jordan on YouTube, and I just happened to watch it, and I was listening to it, and I totally get what you're saying, man. It doesn't sound the same.
Yeah, because with Charlie, it was a push-pull, and
Right.
you understand that probably more than anybody else. That and for anybody watching, you know, a drummer who plays behind a guitar player, it's kind of a give and take. It's kind
Right.
of, you know, here you go, you know, and it was the whole thing that Chuck Berry always said, it's rock and roll. That's what it is. It's a rock and roll. You know, it's all.
Well, the thing, you know, yeah, the thing with Charlie Watts is how he played, you know, because he, as opposed to playing all 4s or 8s on the hi-hat, he would play like, he wouldn't hit the hi-hat the same time he'd hit the snare. So when you do that, if you play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know, do da do da, you could put that snare beat, because you're not hitting it with the same hand. You could put that snare beat ahead of it or behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have this kind of swagger going on. You know what I mean? And he was the only dude I've ever seen that played like that ever.
Same here. The only one I'm the drummer in the Metal Summit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just cannot do it. I mean, I tried it like a million times, but I just cannot do it the way he does. He does it fluently, basically.
Yeah. But if you try it, you know, you see what he's able to do, because he's like, you know, it's like you could mess around with where that frickin' 4 is on the snare. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4 could be frickin' ahead, or it could be way behind. You know, you listen to those Stone albums, that's what he did. That's why they have that, you know, momentum that they have.
That's why the Stones were the Stones, the Beatles were the Beatles, Ringo was Ringo. You know, it's you know, you got to give it up to it. I mean, yeah, it's one, and I love hearing it from a drummer's perspective of, you know, how, you know.
Yeah.
Look, we can talk guitars everywhere from Page to but drummers really don't get the accolades that they should.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You know, it's true. I mean, we're in the background, but you know, it's I get, you know, it's fine. I get the best view of in the house, really. You know.
Well, you get to look at the butt, you know. But
yeah, I get to look at butts. That kind of sucks, but
right.
Woo! No,
you know, basically in a band, when you're the drummer, you get to watch the other idiots in the band if they're, you know, screwing up or not. You know.
Right.
Okay, last question, Chris. Did you ever throw a stick at your singer and go and shut the fuck up?
Why would it? Well, yeah, I have.
I always wanted to know if somebody, because I'm going, oh, dude, shut up. Because you have weapons in your hand. You can, torment anybody in that.
Well, if you want to take it to another level, I mean, I remember I threw a cymbal one time at a bass player.
Oh, nice.
Ouch.
Thank God I didn't hit him with it, but yeah, it was not a good thing.
Cut his head off with it.
Yeah, cut his leg.
Seriously. That's crazy, man. Well, Kris, we can't thank you enough, man, for spending some of your evening with us.
Yeah.
We don't want to take away too much of your evening, but before we cut you loose, where can you be found? Where can Trauma be found?
Right now, we have a website, traumametal.com, or Facebook, Trauma Thrash at Facebook. Let me think. We have Twitter. We're on Twitter, Instagram. Basically, the easiest thing to do is if you go to the browser, and because Trauma, the problem with Trauma, the word Trauma or the name Trauma,
there's too many of them.
Yeah, it's associated with the medical field.
Yeah.
No, I keep getting rap bands and everything else. I'm like, there's a black guy in your band.
So the best thing to do is to write Trauma, the band, and then like a bunch of stuff will pop up.
Nice.
Wikipedia, all that.
Oh, right on, for sure. Do you guys also have a merch page for people that are looking to shop?
Yeah, that's Manic Merch.
Nice.
That's the name of the company, manicmerch.com. There's T-shirts and whatnot. There's going to be more stuff coming to that site soon.
Nice.
Along with like what I was saying about possible re-release and these other tracks that Donnie Heller is singing on. Mm-hmm. And we actually might do. I found some old video of the band too. That we're thinking about maybe doing something with as well. So there's going to be some stuff that's going to come out that I think people will like to see. And as far as the new album is concerned, get ready because it's going to melt your face off.
Yeah.
Awesome. So super stoked for that. Well, Kris, thank you so much for spending your evening with us, man. It was really insightful. We had a great time. And what's more important is that you had a great time.
One thing I do, I had a great time. One thing I just want to say too, in April, we're supposed to be going over to Europe, and we're going to be playing with Ross the Boss throughout Europe, Germany, France, all kinds of places like that. So stay tuned with that too.
Nice.
Sweet.
Super awesome.
And you guys are all on the East Coast, aren't you?
Yep, we sure are.
We are looking forward to coming back to the East Coast and rocking out.
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
Definitely. 100%. Well, Kris, thank you again so much
for your
spending some time with us, man. We really had a great time with you. Thank you so much. Metal Summoners, we love you guys as always. Thank you for tuning in to another fantastic episode. We really appreciate it. Make sure you're hitting up all of our socials. That way you know when we're live and you see us every single week. So make sure you're following the Facebook page. Make sure that you're subscribed with the notification to YouTube, that you're following us on Twitter, and also all of our guest announcements and reminders are also on TikTok as well. So make sure that you are on all of those channels and subscribe to all of them with us, guys. But again, on behalf of the Metal Summit, for Bobby Dreyer, for Angel Alamo, for the Psycho Steve, and for thank you again to Kris from I'm Jay. Guest announcement on Friday. New episode next week. We're going to put a little bit of youthful blood into you next week. So stay tuned for that, Metal Summoners. We love you guys. See you soon. As always, you've been watching the Metal Summit.